What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we are diving into Bison Transportation. In this video, we're calling a driver recruiter, taking a look at some online reviews and their website, and we actually got the opportunity to speak with a driver who'd gone to work for Bison Transportation. And after that call, I'll answer the question, okay or no way. Would I, Trucker 219, go to work for Bison Transportation? So let's jump into the recruiter phone call and see what they got to say. Let's go.
Thanks for calling Bison. This is Skyler. How can I help you?
Hi, Skyler. I will be graduating CDL school this Friday, and I was calling to see what you guys are offering for new drivers.
Yeah, sure. So for a recent grad, pay-wise, you're going to be looking at 54 cents a mile, averaging about 2,500 miles a week. Weekly average between 1,350 to 1,550. Top earners run about 3,000 miles and make between $1,650 and $1,900 based on their experience. And in this position, you're out for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, then you come home for at least 2 to 3 days at a time. And that's just a very surface level of the job if you're looking for just payment information.
Okay. Well, do you guys offer any sort of training after orientation or anything? Would I have to go out with a trainer?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that it would work is once you're fully on board, I've already ran your reports, I approve of everything. Then we give you a rental car, give you $25 a day for food, we reimburse you for gas, we give you a hotel room, of course, and you go up to Amherst, Wisconsin. That's where all of our trainers live. And you'll do about a week-long orientation at the terminal and take a road test, do some yard work, terminal training, and then you're paired with that in-cab instructor, that trainer, for 4 weeks on the road.
How much did you say the pay was?
It's $750 per week for orientation.
And that's for the 4 weeks with the trainer as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gotcha. Do you guys offer any tuition reimbursement?
We do, up to $6,000 if you paid out of pocket. We'll provide weekly tuition reimbursement after 3 months of employment, $35, which drivers can use to repay their loans. Total reimbursement amount is capped at $6,000. So 3 months of employment, and then at $35 per week is when we start that.
Okay, gotcha.
And it goes all the way to $6,000. Yeah.
And then are your guys' trucks have cameras in them?
They do. They have inward and outward facing cameras, and they are event recording cameras. So any harsh braking, sharp turns, anything like that, it'll record it and it'll be sent for review. And you can also have a copy of it, of course.
Okay, that's cool. Do you guys, what is your guys' trucks governed at?
65 miles an hour.
Then do you guys offer anything for veterans?
As of right now, no, we don't.
Okay, and then this 54 cents per mile, 2,500 miles per week, what would be the pay progression on that, like after 6 months or a year or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so pretty much it goes up to 6 months, you're 54, 6 months to a year, you're 55, and then a year to 3 years is 57, and it kind of just keeps increasing all the way up to 64 cents per mile, and that's topped out at 15 years of experience. And something that I like to mention also is that we have a very generous referral program, and we have a lot of drivers that earn it's $2,500 a month per referral. Well, not month, it's, hold on, I'm gonna lie to you here. I had it pulled up earlier. Anyway, it's like $2,500 after 6 months if you refer someone, if they stay for the full 6 months. So we have some drivers that's how they make a lot of extra cash. Like, let's say an extra 20 grand a year just from referring people.
I've seen online that you guys do offer tanker, flatbed, and van, and these are the numbers for van, correct?
Correct, yeah. Right now, we have very limited tanker, hazmat, anything like that. Those are going to be more of our Auburn, very northeast positions. Like Maine, places like that have tanker positions. Out of Tennessee, it's pretty much dry van OTR right now.
Okay. And then if I wanted to, though, I could get into those without experience potentially?
You would have to get you'd have to get your certifications once those positions become available here.
Okay. What does the certifications look like? I know tanker I would need an endorsement for, but flatbed?
Yeah. So it would just be the same thing. You just have to, I don't know if you would need your flatbed. I don't think you need a certification for flatbed. But the other ones, you have to take your certification test and those kind of things. But flatbed, I'm not sure about. I can double check on that, though.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds good. Like I said, I'm calling around today to see where I want to go to work. Time's running out for me to find a place to be. So I'll let you guys know if I decide to go with you guys.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. Take it easy.
All right, you too. Thank you. Want to take a break in the video real quick to give a shout out to a few new members on the channel. Farvis Bogey, BJ Keeling, and Brian Woodley. Thank you guys for the added support. I really appreciate it. And if you want to become a member on the channel, the link will be in the description below. Channel memberships are definitely not required, but the support goes a long way. But it gives you access to special badges and emojis and a shout out in the video just like this. Now back to the video. All right, so I just got off the phone with the recruiter from Bison Transportation, and according to the recruiter, the starting pay was 54 cents per mile, and Bison Transportation was saying that their drivers are starting out at 54 cents per mile, averaging 2,500 miles per week. And if you're a new driver with a CDL, you would be required to go out with a trainer for 4 weeks, and during that time you'd be paid $750 per week. Bison's home time policy is 2 to 3 weeks out for 2 to 3 days at home. Bison does offer a tuition reimbursement of up to $6,000, but that tuition reimbursement wouldn't start until 3 months of employment, and it's paid out at $35 per week. Bison does have inward and outward facing cameras, but they said that the cameras were just event recorders, and the drivers were able to see a copy of any time there was an event recorded. Their trucks are governed at 65 miles per hour, and they do not offer any sort of benefits for veterans. The recruiter did say that they have a really good referral program, which would pay drivers $2,500 for anybody that they refer who stays with the company for at least 6 months. The recruiter said after a year with the company, you would get a pay increase of 1 cent per mile and an additional 2 cents after 3 years working for them. But let's flip over to the calculator to see what the cents per mile and the average miles per week ends up actually being on your paycheck. So Bison said that you should expect anywhere from $1,350 to $1,500 per week on your paycheck. So if we take the numbers that they gave, which was 2,500 miles a week, and multiply that by 54 cents per mile, it'll give you exactly $1,350 per week. But realistically, as a new driver, you can expect anywhere from 18 to 23, so I normally like to go at 2,000 miles per week. So taking 2,000 miles per week and multiplying that by 54 cents per mile, you can expect about $1,080 on your week pre-tax. So in order to get 1,500 miles per week, we would divide that by 54 cents per mile, and you'd have to drive 2,777 miles for the week in order to hit that high number, which, don't get me wrong, it's not impossible, but it's more than unlikely as a new driver. So just for figuring sake, that $1,350, if we multiply that by 80%, is what you would receive after taxes. You should expect a paycheck around $1,080 after taxes, assuming that those mileage numbers that they gave were accurate. So with the recruiter phone call in the books, let's check out the Indeed reviews to see what other drivers have had to say about working for Bison. And the first thing we see is 3.4 stars based on 458 reviews. We got these reviews sorted to newest so we can see the most up-to-date information, and the first one here is a 2-star review. This 2-star review said, started off well, then went downhill. This one says, I came to Bison as an in-cab instructor, which was a new position that focused solely on training new truck drivers how to operate tractor-trailer safety and perform all associated tasks. I excelled at my job, graduated several drivers who still work there today. I was well compensated at $100,000 a year. About a year into the job, management decided that effective training was no longer the priority. They gutted the office staff, implemented AI for load planning, and pressured trainees and trainers alike to squeeze every penny they could while they were on the road. There was no longer competent support from dispatch, and the culture shifted dramatically from one of safety to one of productivity at all cost. This created a hostile environment in the training/safety department, and I felt myself pushed out because I no longer felt comfortable churning trainees through who would not be trained properly. And they said the pros was the pay of $100,000 a year, and the cons was micromanagement, AI dispatch, and possible productivity metrics. That seems like a pretty big deal coming from somebody whose job it is to train drivers. This next one is a 3-star from May, and it just says low pay from a planner. A lot of workload, but hardly any pay. Promotions only go to the favorite employees. 3 years and hardly any raises, although reviews were always good. Work-life balance depends on which team you're on. Dispatchers struggle the most. Okay, this next one is a 2-star review. Top-heavy outfit generally. And this one's coming from a Class A truck driver. The hardest part of the work was the very complicated ELD. Spent so much time logging in and out that drive time was critically shortchanged. The shop and most on-the-ground employees were great. Another gripe, dispatch was so overburdened that their ability to help drivers was very limited. Safety at Auburn was very helpful. Overall, I enjoyed the job, but without good support from management, I'd have to give the company a low rating. Okay, so it sounds like overall they enjoyed their job. It's just the management and dispatchers weren't very helpful in getting stuff done. This next one is a 4-star from a fleet manager, and it says good place to work. Next one is a 1-star from a technician, aka mechanic, and it says stay away. Toxic environment, unsafe repair practices. Place is a revolving door of employees. Terrible pay and benefits. Other than a paycheck, there's absolutely no benefit to work for this company. And that's pretty rough coming from somebody who's supposed to be fixing your trucks. If they're unhappy, there's a high chance that they're not going to do a good job making sure your truck's safe to drive down the road. This next one's a 3-star, and this one's from a Class A truck driver over the road. And it says every company has its pros and cons. Just pick one that best suits your needs. What is the best part of working at the company? A great opportunity to grow with this company. Has great benefits packages. Only thing is majority loads are up north. What is the most stressful part of working at the company? If you live down south, just know it seems like it's hard to get you home during your home time request. And lastly, what is a typical day like at the company? Always make sure your ETA and PTA is up to date to get planned on loads. Okay, we got another 1-star here from a truck driver. At least I gained the experience I need to move on in my career. Planning was absolutely horrible, and dispatch barely had your back. I was promised 2,200 plus miles per week as an over the road and barely got 1,700. I would raise concerns and it would be good for 1, maybe 2 weeks and then back to hardly making any money. The pros were they gained experience and the cons were planning, dispatch, and management. The last one we're going to do here is a 5-star. It says thumbs up from a local intermodal driver out of Chicago. It says, what is the best part of working at the company? Respected as a person, not treated like a number. They give you the tools to be the best driver and actually treat you as an individual and to build upon that in helping you with your goals to be the best driver you're capable of being with continuous training and coaching. What's the most stressful part of the company? Having a person added to the team who has no team player in them. What is the work environment and culture like at the company? Very peaceful and respectful in your dealings with everyone who is on the same page and shares the same goals. Make sure that everyone who applies themselves will be successful with the company. Provide the tools they need to accomplish the goal. Well, there you have it, a bunch of reviews from a bunch of different positions within the company, from truck drivers to fleet managers to technicians. It seems like everybody has a varying opinion of Bison. Some of the reviews were really good and others weren't so great. And it definitely makes sense why they're 3.4 out of 5 stars. They're kind of right down the middle based on the reviews. From those reviews, I would say that the biggest concern is the communication between dispatch and driver. And the overall poor management would definitely raise some red flags. So let's jump on their website and see what they're saying over there. All right, so over here on their main website, we're going to check out their career section. Now, over here on their career section, it shows that they have some options for company drivers as well as in-cab instructors. They list some of the advantages of working for them, including quite a few different insurance options from healthcare all the way to critical illness insurance. They offer flexible spending accounts and health savings accounts. And according to this, they allow pets and have a driver referral program. And it says here to join them as a new graduate, you have to have a CDL when you come on board, have graduated from a CDL school within the last 90 days, and you're willing to run over the road 2 to 3 weeks out at a time. And finally, you must pass all DOT screening. Let's go ahead and click this and see what it's got to say. All right, so it's bringing up a few different jobs from different locations. This first one here is for a home daily tank driver, and the pay for this is saying $1,800 to $2,200 a week. And that's based on a 60 to 70 hour work week, Sunday through Thursday or Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 12 hour shifts, weekend bonus pay. This next one is a standard over the road position. They have a sign-on bonus for this one of $5,000. You're out for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. The weekly mileage is 2,500 miles per week, and the pay ranges from $1,650 to $1,900 a week. And it says that Bison pays you based off of your experience, anywhere from 55 to 64 cents per mile. And they got a few more over-the-road positions listed here. This one shows van and reefer trailers. And then here's a regional position. It shows home weekly, North Dakota to Illinois. Again, that pay range is about the same at 55 to 65 cents per mile. There they're advertising a modern fleet of trucks and equipment, and it looks like they're running Freightliner Cascadias. It says that they outfit their trucks with top-of-the-line seating, including heated and ventilation functionality. And over here on their website, I found a map of all their different locations, so if there's a location by you, most likely they'll be able to hire you out of that location. Here's a list of all the locations within the United States. There's the ones within Canada, and it looks like they only have one head office in Mexico. Now, based off of their website, everything seems to be matching up pretty closely with what the recruiter had to say. And it also can be said that they have a bunch of opportunities, whether that be for flatbed, dry van, reefer, tanker, and they have some local, regional, and over-the-road positions available. So if you're looking to get specialized pretty quickly, whether that be through tanker or flatbed, this might be a good option for you. Now, looking at reviews will give us a mixed bag of different people and different perspectives, but it's a rare privilege on this channel to actually be able to talk to a driver who's gone to work with the company. But lucky for us, we were able to do just that. So without further ado, let's get into that call. You said you were doing flatbed with them, right? Did you start off with dry van, or did you go straight to flatbed?
I only did dry van for the first month of doing the in-cab training. And then I went right to flatbed.
Gotcha. Which one did you like better?
Flatbed for sure. I wasn't a fan of the dry van and sitting in there, at shippers and receivers for 2 hours.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
So,
even
I
though
get
it can
loaded.
be a similar amount of time for me, I've always felt like because I have some sort of control on how fast things go, I've always felt like flatbed was a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and half of my loads that were already preloaded. I just got there, dropped my empty, and hooked on to the loaded trailer. It was Westfield and Lowe's, and I just had to strap it. It was already tarped. I just had to bungee down the tarp and start strapping it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then when you started out with them, how much were you making cents per mile wise?
I didn't get paid cents per mile. It was in flatbed, they pay 25% of line haul.
Okay.
So,
And then what were your paychecks looking on average, would you say?
on average, for like a 50 to 55 hour week, I was getting about 12 to 1300 net pay every week.
Okay, cool. And then how long were you staying out on the road at a time? You said you were
6 days.
about 6 days at a time. You said you were regional, so I figured it was relatively quick.
Yeah, I was home I could take 2 days off, like a full 48 hours, but I would usually go in because I would always end my week, loaded. And I would drive probably about 4 to 5 hours on my first day just to get close to where I had to be for my Monday deliveries, because it was always Monday to Friday. And sometimes you'd get home early on Saturday, but it wasn't very often.
Gotcha. So it's just setting you up for the next week to get a little bit ahead on the next week's stuff.
Yeah, just so you have 5 loads every week, because you make more money on percentage pay
Nice.
if you can get your full 5.
Right. So were they giving you, as far as that percentage pay, were they giving you like a rate confirmation to verify that that was the percentage that you were getting off of what they were getting paid? How did they go about that?
They would tell you, because if you started, it depends on where it was going, because like a lot of the Lowe's loads were anywhere from $1,000 to like $2,000. You'd have to ask the dispatcher what it paid, and then you could work out your pay. But at the end of the week, it would break down what the loads paid out and what the percent was that you got from it, because it wasn't always just Lowe's. It was a lot of different things.
Gotcha.
But beforehand, I never knew unless I decided to call and ask, which I didn't very often.
Gotcha. So it's kind of just trusting the process and knowing that it's going to get taken care of on the back end.
Yeah, and like I said, it was in your pay statements broken down if you wanted to look through it. But I always made what I thought was pretty fair money.
Gotcha.
For the amount of time I put. I wasn't doing full 70-hour week, so.
Yeah, I mean, 55 hours for 12 to 1,300 bucks net, that's not too bad at all. Because when I talked to them on the recruiter call, they were saying that it was cents per mile. In my region, they were only doing dry van, no fuel or flatbed out of where I was at. So it's good to get that perspective as well.
Yeah, flatbeds, they have a pretty big flatbed area up here in the Northeast where I live in Maine.
Yeah, because Bison
So,
started out as a Canada company, and they took over H.O. Wolding, and then they became Bison USA for at least that portion. Did you ever end up having to go into Canada?
no, I didn't. I stayed in the States
Okay, gotcha.
because they also bought Bottles and Hart up here in Maine. That's why they're up here.
Okay, cool. Overall, how was your experience getting on board with them? Was it a little bit difficult or relatively easy from application to orientation?
From when I called the recruiter, 'cause I actually never filled out an application, but I just called the recruiter, and then um, I did like download their Herd to Go app and entered in my information that way because I didn't have any trucking experience. It was my first trucking job. And then I got a phone call about 2 days after I sent in my personal information, and they did their background checks on me. They sent me to the airport to pick up a rental car, and I drove from Maine to Amherst, Wisconsin, and started there. I think it was about 5 days of in the yard training and in classroom work. It was mixed throughout that time, and then after that, I did 4 weeks with an in-cab trainer. We basically lived in there together.
And how was your training experience? Do you feel like they did a good job training you?
Yeah, it was pretty good because since we were hauling mostly when we started, we were moving loads from up in Wisconsin and Minnesota, like Green Bay, Michigan, and driving through Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave me a pretty good reality check driving through Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's a fun one.
Yeah, my trainer helped me a lot with that
Yeah,
first
it's one of those
week
things
or
in big
so.
cities that you kind of got to be a lot more aggressive if you're going to get anywhere. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way traffic moves in big cities.
Yeah, you definitely got to push your way in sometimes
Right,
if you ever plan on moving.
right. Awesome. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to ask you here. Um, so you said it was, how long was it from, like I said, from when you started the application till you went to orientation? About how long did that take you?
They gave me a 2 weeks notice, but if I wouldn't have needed that to leave the job I was in, and from when I filled out the information on the app to being there could have been probably a day or two, just the time it took to get the rental car and wait for the next Monday to start.
Okay, cool.
But they're pretty quick. You can get there within a week if you wanted to.
Gotcha. And then you said overall it was a good company to work for. Would you recommend them for new drivers?
Yeah, absolutely. For some of the horror stories I've heard from other drivers going to megas with like their living situation when they get to training. That's why I forgot to mention, but they set you up pretty good. You get your own hotel room. You don't have to share a room with anybody, and you get to keep your rental car. I was able to keep mine for 2 weeks during training
Really?
to get back and forth. Yeah, and then we started to carpool the last 2 weeks, but I'm pretty sure they still do it that way.
Okay. I mean, anything else you want to share about the company? Any crazy stuff going on over there that you've seen? How was the recruiters? Were they good about making sure they were communicating well with you and all that?
Yeah, the recruiters were pretty honest with me about what I was getting myself into with flatbed, and they have a retention team too, so they will occasionally send you things like Bison apparel and stuff just to make you feel appreciated when you're driving. They send you postcards. I enjoyed my experience. I didn't really have any super negative, you know, things to say or that happened to me while I was there. But it was just a great launch pad to start off with, and then I just moved on to doing tanker stuff.
Awesome. And you got when you started, did you get your endorsements when you were getting your CDL, or did you go back afterwards while you were at Bison to do that?
I ended up going back. I had an appointment scheduled with the DOT on basically a load I had coming back to Maine. I just took a couple hours to go take my test, and then started heading further north that same day. So it worked out just fine.
Cool. Well, buddy, I think that's about it. Any questions you have for me? I think that'll Be good to share with new drivers and stuff, and throw in the Bison video if you're all right with it.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's a great company for people to go with, especially if they want to, if they're in this area, if they want to do flatbed.
Gotcha. We talked to a Bison recruiter, checked out their website, looked at some Indeed reviews online, and even talked to a driver who actually worked for Bison. So now it's time to answer the question, okay or no way. Would I, Trucker 219, go to work for Bison Transportation? And the answer to that is okay. I'd definitely go to work for them. Honestly, I'm not seeing a whole lot of downsides with this company. Their pay is moderate, they have plenty of options for drivers looking to try new things, and while they don't offer a CDL training program, they're more than happy to take on new drivers. They have tuition reimbursement, paying drivers $140 a month after the first 3 months. Their time on the road is pretty standard in the industry, 2 to 3 weeks out for 2 to 3 days home. But if I had to point out any downsides, number one is the fact that they don't offer anything for veterans, and the fact that their pay progression is really slow at just 1 cent per mile per year. So if you're looking to get experience just out of school, it's probably a really good option. However, if you want to stick around long term, it may not be the best. And honestly, after looking at those Indeed reviews, I was a little bit skeptical, but after being able to talk to the driver who had already gone to work for them, it definitely helps sway some things in their favor. So my encouragement to you guys as new drivers, try to find somebody that works for the company you want to go to work for. See if you can get a phone number or have them call you, or just go out to your local truck stop and see if there's any drivers there. Because no matter how much research you do, you'll never know what it's truly like to work for a company until you go to work for them. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about Bison? Leave your comments down below. And if you want to check out more deep dives just like this one, click the playlist right here. And as always, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. All right? Bye.